Boilermakers will close out the season with 2 road games starting Friday night. It'll be Purdue at Michigan State for an 8 o'clock kickoff. And then a week from Saturday, Purdue will look to maintain possession of the Old Oaken Bucket as they take on the Indiana Hoosiers. Game time for that has not been set, although we know it's one of 3 options. It'll either be 3:30, 7, or 7:30 a week from Saturday in Bloomington. Good evening, everybody. It is Purdue Football Live. We're coming to you live from the walk-ons in the Purdue Memorial Union. The Boilermakers right now are practicing since they're playing a night game against the Spartans here in about 48 hours. Purdue is doing night practices this week, and that means we won't have any players or coaches, but we do have a good representation of the program this evening. We'll start with Noah Joseph, who is the general manager for football. A little bit later on, Corey Palm, the director of broadcast services, who's written a couple of books on Purdue football. We'll talk about those and the podcast that we do about some of Ross-Ade Stadium's greatest games. And then we'll close the hour out with Kelly Kitchell, a member of our broadcast crew and also a member of the early 2000 Purdue football team. We're on Facebook, on X, and on YouTube on Purdue Athletics if you would like to follow along there. And we'll have Noah Joseph when we come back in 2 minutes. This is Purdue Football Live, presented by Purdue Federal Credit Union on the Purdue Global Sports Network from Learfield.
Down to 4. Kaufman-Renn got to let it go. No! Smith had 22 Monday night. Led the Boilers in every category. There's his first 2.
Oh, that's pretty right there. I mean, he gets with that crossover, leaves Amori in the dust.
What an opportunity for Trey Kaufman-Renn with the ball without Zach Edey. Kick it back inside. Caleb First with his first 2. And 1.
The way he's flying around, this is a terrific pass. That bounce pass, you got Sherrell a little handsy in the Final Four.
Tough fade away.
Man.
And it starts Braden Smith.
A guy that didn't get to work much in the summer because of that abdominal injury, but you could certainly tell he looked back to close to 100%.
Kaufman-Renn. Exclamation point. Smith, Lawyer, this will count. Got it.
Purdue has dialed up a play into the half and gotten a good look. Lawyer with the shot fake. Decent contest from Diabate. Grant Nelson straight up.
Lawyer, Smith. Lawyer. 3 more. Lawyer. Now he comes back with the Euro.
All right, he got back up there. Had no idea where Darion Reed was.
Looking for buckets on back-to-back possessions. Kaufman-Renn to Smith.
Smith just rubbed LeBaron Philon right off of Trey Kaufman-Renn. Roll. He's good with that little floater. And then you got Braden Smith. It's ball screen action, come back, that handoff, and then he...
Welcome back to Purdue Football Live. We're live at walk-ons in the Purdue Memorial Union where there's validated parking and kids eat free on Tuesdays. Purdue Football Live is presented by Purdue Federal Credit Union, the official credit union for Purdue fans. We are joined by Noah Joseph, who is the general manager of Purdue football, and we have had you on earlier on the season, but you know, a lot of us have muscle memory loss. For those people who are unfamiliar with that position, what are your responsibilities with the football team?
So the main one is really roster management and just looking at everything from recruiting high school to transfer portal, managing those guys, where do we have deficiencies, where do we need to go, and then working with the collective for NIL and now salary cap with revenue sharing coming into play.
That salary cap and all of those things are still a little bit up in the air, aren't they, until this house settlement is completely solidified and we know exactly what's happening? Yeah,
we have a very good direction of where we're going. The T's aren't crossed and I's dotted, but we feel good about where we're at.
There's no question, Noah, that it's been a disappointing season for everybody, but as we have seen with other college football teams in the country, there can be changes, big changes in 1 year because of the portal, because of the fact that you can basically go out and somehow get a new team.
Yeah.
I mean, the team you're playing on Friday night has 62 new players, 34 freshmen and 28 transfers. So it is possible to turn things around. How do you get started on that? Because you've got a very small window, particularly in the portal, once the season's over.
Yeah, I think to back up a little bit, our approach with the transfer portal was a little bit different in terms of we did not take a ton of one-year guys. So it was more guys that had traits that just hadn't played a ton at their previous institutions, but had the skill set to be really good players. And so those guys that now are playing, and as obviously we are witnessing, there's some inconsistencies and learning and growing on the job. So now we'll have those guys back hopefully next year, and now they have that experience. So that's kind of where we started. And then it starts now recruiting our own team first, right? So trying to recruit our own team, get the guys that we need to stay, and then we've got identified problem issues on our roster and some guys to hopefully go after.
There are a lot of guys. You mentioned that you need to recruit your own players and get them to stay. I don't think there's any question there are some guys that are going to be in very, very high demand.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'll just throw out a few names because, the players like Max Clare, Devin Maccabee, and Will Helt, and Dylan Thieneman, a lot of people are going to be interested in them.
They are, and not only, for their play on the field, which speaks for itself, but what a lot of people maybe don't see or don't realize is just the type of men they are, leaders, and the high character. That's how you build championship programs around guys like that.
So what can you do? What is being done? You mentioned that working with the collective. I know that, again, everything's in place, but how do those conversations go? And when will you get a firm yes or no, do you think, from these guys as in terms of when they're going to stay?
It'll probably be a week or two after the season, hopefully. It's like dating a girl, right?
Yeah.
Like somebody's always talking to them. If you're not talking to them, somebody else is. So just trying to always communicate with them and their families and representatives and things like that of how important they are.
Yeah, and a lot we talk about dating, and I think when we talk about the portal, you talk about speed dating.
Yeah.
We talked with Ryan about this before in high school. You can start recruiting a kid from the time that, sophomore, junior, you build that relationship. You have maybe 2 days sometimes in the portal, maybe sometimes less than that to make that. So, again, it really goes to a lot of advanced preparation in terms of not only seeing what they have on film, but finding out everything you can find out about them.
No doubt. You normally, like in high school, you're finding out, doing all the research, finding out all the answers to the questions, and then presenting an offer, come visit us and sign with us. And it's kind of opposite, like try and get them on campus as fast as possible and then do the research and back out if you have to. And then we use, I don't know if, Chad Brown runs Profile, which is a company that just measures different characteristics and things like that. We've gone to start using him to kind of help us with the speed dating process.
It used to be, too, back in the days before the portal was the wild, wild west, that you would have a pretty good idea when it came to signing day for high school players. Hey, we need 18. Now maybe somebody will leave. We need 20. Do you have any idea now how many guys you will need or how many guys you plan to sign on signing day?
On signing day, we'll have a smaller class. And that's because we have a young team. We have a ton of freshmen and sophomores that are playing and doing a great job for us. So we're hoping to sign around 13, anywhere from 10 to 13 high school kids, and then, again, be selective in the transfer portal process.
Now, give us an update. And I know that the portal dates have changed.
Yeah.
When is the portal open? When can players move around and have that free agency?
So it opens in December, from December 9th through the 28th. So that's when it's open. So all that means is that's when a young man has to notify the institution that they would like to go into the portal. And then from there, they have as much time as they want to take visits and choose a school to go to. Obviously, the biggest thing is getting in school for the spring semester.
Yeah, so if they wait until that December 28th date, they've got to make a decision pretty quickly because some schools are going to start classes January 5th, January 6th, somewhere in that range.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, there's been talk. There has been a spring portal window.
Yep.
Is that still here? Is that closing?
Nope, it's still here. So they went away from it and then they brought it back. So it's a shorter period in the spring. So we'll use that. And then there's also some other stipulations. If you have a coaching change, then you have 30 days where you could go into the portal as well.
All right. Talking with Ryan Joseph. We're going to be – I'm sorry, Ryan Joseph. Noah Joseph. I'm gonna get the names right before the season's out, I promise everybody. Talking with Noah Joseph, General Manager. We're going to have more on Purdue Football Live. It's presented by Purdue Federal Credit Union on the Purdue Global Sports Network from Learfield.
Again, off the boiler block, set for Colvin. And that one is true. Scarlet Knights get it over. Anderson sets down the line to Lizzie Carr, who's able to put it down. Carr's first kill of the matchup. Strike the team in red, not the team in white. 8-5 now. Lizzie Carr with the hammer. Purdue. And that one.
Myers got the first contact, and Martinez Mundo keeps that alive, the libero for the Illini. And Purdue looking for their 7th win in a row, opening up with a long point. Ali Hornung underneath it. And the second ball goes over, but Hudson inside to block it.
And already we've got it.
So cheating a little bit more inside.
Cheating a little bit more inside. Especially with the lefty, that swing normally goes in.
Oh, goodness! Pogo stick time for Colvin. Like she was on a pogo stick. Back to Myers. Martinez Mundo. And the block ends it. Anderson. It ends with her after all. There's no secret where the ball's going.
No, they know where it's going and they still can't stop her.
Terry playing net defense there, but that was a rocket from Colvin. Final match of this really tough 5-match set for Illinois. 2-2 coming into this one, including the top 20 win against USC. Moser on the run, setting Hernandez, and Chicoine with another slick dig in the back. Chicoine makes the call on this one. She can dig, she can bump set, and Hudson helps her out. Well, Bohm is shut down.
The 2024 Purdue football season is presented by Purdue Global. Earn a degree you'll be proud of with Purdue Global, Purdue's online university for working adults and the preferred online university degree provider of the Guild and Team USA Learning Network. Start your comeback today at purdueglobal.edu. Boilermakers in Michigan State on Friday. I made the mistake earlier this season, probably last week, of talking about what great weather we've had all season long. Man, somebody's going to slap me about that because actually our travel plans have changed a little bit tomorrow. We're going to have to fly out of Indianapolis because we're expecting some snow and high winds. It looks like it'll be dry on Friday night, but it's going to be cold. It's going to be a little bit windy and cold. Good.
Well, we're practicing at night outside. Actually in the stadium. So we went in the stadium last night and tonight, which is kind of fun for the guys and for us. And, Coach has talked about all week, like no matter what the weather is, like rain, snow, cold, it has to be an advantage to us.
Well, and Michigan State has lost 6 out of 7, so it's not exactly like they're coming in, full guns blazing here. I think Friday night's game is an opportunity. Whoever gets on top and can establish some dominance early might be able to break the other team's will pretty quickly.
No doubt, and for everybody that's followed us, it's no secret. That's one thing that I think we've struggled a little bit is just handling adversity, and if something happens bad early to be able to fight through it. So we're working through that now.
I'm a big believer, and I've been this way forever, that you don't do a full post-mortem on a season until the last game shows 0-0-0. But with 2 games to play, as you look at the season, it's been disappointing. I mean, it's been disappointing and hard for the fans, players, and everybody. Can you pinpoint where did this thing go wrong? Where did it start to go wrong?
I think there's been a couple things that probably led to this. One is like momentum is real, right? In the game of football, momentum is real. If you block a punt, you win 80% of those games because momentum, right? And I think when you look at the season and that Notre Dame game, we had great expectations. We had the bye week before, and we really did. We had a great week of preparation, really 2 weeks of preparation leading to that, and the guys felt really confident and good going into there. And then when we come out and played like we did, I think it hurt us more than we as coaches realized from a confidence standpoint.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question. You play, even if you lose that Notre Dame game, but play a competitive game, I think might be a different result, at least a different start when you go to Oregon State and when you play Nebraska here. But yeah, I agree with you. I really think that team, if nothing else, was shell-shocked because we were all surprised at what happened, especially in that first half against Notre Dame.
Yeah, and I think it also that some things that we could have done to help ourselves a little bit looking back is, we were careful because we didn't have a ton of depth, so we wanted to make sure we were healthy and let our good players be ready to go. And we probably needed to be a little bit more physical, like during that bye week, and tackle a little bit.
Well, and that's always a hard thing though when you're trying to build depth in the program, and you got to get your best players to the field. But on the other hand, like you said, if you don't hit very hard and you don't do a lot of tackling, you can't expect to be great the first time you go out and try it.
Yep. So we've done a lot of research and talked to people, and there's a way to go around it and be in controlled settings, right? So you at least mitigate some of the injury possibilities.
We understand the fans' frustration. We've talked about that during broadcasts every week. We understand, and let's talk about the fans too. Most fans in Ross-Ade Stadium since 2005, and even last Saturday with the team coming in with the losing streak senior day, that place was almost full, and they were outstanding this season.
They've been, since we've been here, they've been unbelievable. But it's not just football, right? You go, went to the volleyball game in Mackey against IU, and it was like crazy. Yeah. You go to basketball games, you go to Holloway, you go to softball games. The fan support and the passion of the Purdue people is unbelievable. That's what makes this place special, and we owe it to them. And nobody trusts us. Nobody feels worse than Coach Walters, our staff, and our players.
You're around them every day. You're with it 24/7. What has been the mindset or how are they? They can't be feeling good about the results, but do you feel like the fight is still there with 2 week games left?
No doubt. Like that's what gives, I know, us a ton of hope, and like we're excited because the kids, man, to their credit, like they love coming into our building. Coach Walters has an unbelievable culture in the building where guys enjoy coming in and talking and hanging out and working hard. They go to practice and they practice hard. We've got practice smarter at times, but that's what gives us hope is that they love playing the game and they love Purdue.
Well, Noah, we thank you for stopping by. Let's make sure we pack all the coats that we can and everything to keep warm. And let's see if we can break this losing streak Friday night.
That'll be good, won't it?
It would certainly be good. Noah Joseph joining us. Next is Corey Palm. We're at Purdue Football Live, presented by Purdue Federal Credit Union on the Purdue Global Sports Network from Learfield.
Her right hand, she finds a lane that she likes, goes up, lays it off softly up off the glass for the 2 points.
Speaking of laying it off the glass, Lana McCarthy with her second bucket of the night.
And yeah, McCarthy doing a great job getting the leverage down low on Treadwell early, as we see right there.
Collier bringing it up, finding Bass in transition, down low, she lays it up and in. Purdue pushing it, now Bass up to Jones. Jones finds Swanson. Swanson, a three-pointer, that's good, nothing but net for Sophie Swanson.
And there it is, Sophie Swanson, you were talking about her earlier.
Good poise by McCarthy to not turn it over. She's down low and an and one. We're off the inbounds pass. Good defensive effort down low, and Purdue comes away with it.
Reynolds back-to-back block there's on that possession, doing a great job now pushing in transition.
Swanson was fouled and gets the friendly roll and one. 11 points.
Swanson just coming up in transition, pull-up mid-range shot.
Now Reynolds bringing it up, trying to find Bass, and she does. Bass and one. Reagan Bass getting going here in the second quarter.
Purdue's done a great job all night in transition, and this time no different. Bass getting the feed from Reynolds.
Rebound Swanson. More chance points for Purdue. No good, Lombard. And there's just a lid on the basket right now for Purdue, but right on cue, Kendall Pullier. Finally, the drought is over for the Boilermakers.
Yeah, the offensive rebound does a great job there, and Purrier goes strong up with the body with the right hand off the glass.
It's been tough sledding here in this third quarter. Hope Savory throws it away. Lombard on the other end. Layup is up and good. Swanson on the wing. Back to Jones. She's been terrific in this fourth quarter. McCarthy and one. Lana McCarthy back to the free throw line. Good entry pass there by Destiny Lombard. And
welcome back to Purdue Football Live. We're live at Walk-Ons in the Purdue Memorial Union, where there's validated parking and kids eat for free on Tuesdays. Purdue Athletics would like to thank and recognize members of the Black and Gold Club who support Purdue Athletics through their sponsorship at the highest level. Black and Gold Club members include Indiana Packers, Molson Coors, Purdue Federal Credit Union, Purdue Global, State Farm Insurance, Toyota, and Wabash. Each are great partners of Purdue Athletics. And speaking of great partners of Purdue Athletics, we have Corey Palm, who is the Director of Broadcast Services, wears a lot of different hats.
Yeah.
The first hat I want to talk about is as an author. You've written a couple of books about Purdue football, one about the 1943
Yep, that's
football
correct.
team, and then also about the greatest game. So how did those projects come around?
Usually I'm doing research on something else and stumble upon something that leads to a question, which leads to more research, which leads to more questions. That's how I stumbled upon Tony Butkovich's name doing research on a Corey Sheets project back in the early 2000s, and that just led to a bunch of questions. How come this guy from 60 years ago that I've never heard of is a record holder in Purdue history? And that led to, well, he was here because of the war, and he that whole story. So usually just one path leads to another path, and before you know it, you're halfway through the forest.
Yeah, by the way, that book on the 1943 team made a great travel companion for me on a couple of basketball road trips, so I appreciate that. How hard is it to get some of that archived information? When we have Google now. Google hasn't lasted forever, and we're trying to get everything in the world into Google.
True.
Some people seem, by the way, not to have Google on their computer. If you notice that, you get a lot of questions sometimes.
Right. Let me Google that for you.
Let me
right.
Google that for you.
Yeah.
But how difficult has it been to get some of this information?
It has gotten a lot easier. When I first started working on the Perfect Warriors project, I was still going to the microfiche files at the Tippecanoe County Library, downtown Lafayette. So, it's not that hard anymore. There's a couple great websites that have digitized, newspaper articles now, and it's much easier to access with just a yearly, subscription fee, which you're happy to pay if it makes going to the library every other week easier.
Friday night's game will mark exactly 100 years since Purdue's first football game at Ross-Ade Stadium. That was a win, by the way, over Indiana, 26-7. Talk about that project, and how did you basically choose 100 games from which to write about?
It is. There was no science behind it. It was literally, I started in 1924 and said, okay, the first one's easy. That's game one against Indiana.
99 to go.
99 to go. Here we go. And a lot of them, are no-brainers. They're very easy to add. I got up to 50 or 60 games pretty easily. Any upset over a ranked opponent. Any outstanding performance, things like that. The 72 bucket game was not a great game, by most measures, but Otis Armstrong had a great game, and it was
Purdue won. It was a great.
It was a great game,
measures.
Absolutely. So there's a lot of different factors, but individual performance, team performance, upset. Was it historically relevant? Yeah. There's a few losses in there. The 77 Notre Dame game with the birth of Joe Montana is historically relevant, so that one unfortunately had to be there as a Purdue loss, but still an important game.
How do you get somebody to publish this? How does that all happen?
Well, I threw it out there, the idea, at a couple different publishing houses and got one to bite. That was a new process for me. The Perfect Warriors book was self-published through Amazon, so going through a publisher, the History Press out of South Carolina, was different. There's all sorts of layers in communication, and different people have to sign off on each step of the project. So that was fun. I probably, I don't know that I'd try and go that route again. Self-publishing is a lot easier, a lot more control.
Well, I would assume, though, with all the money you've made on this, you can retire pretty handily.
Oh, no doubt.
At an early age, right?
You know a lot of writers, I take it, yeah.
That's right. So anyway, great holiday stocking stuffers. How do people get these books if they're interested in buying?
Yeah, both Perfect Warriors and Ross-Ade's Greatest Games are available on Amazon. Ross-Ade's Greatest Games is available locally at several different retailers. You can also get it at BarnesandNoble.com. You can get it on Target's website. It's available at the Barnes & Noble here in Lafayette as well. So lots of places to get that stocking stuffer.
So get that holiday shopping started early here. All right, another project that you're involved with, you were doing podcasts on some of these games, and I'm involved with you on those. We're going to talk about those when we come back. This is Purdue Football Live, presented by Purdue Federal Credit Union on the Purdue Global Sports Network from Learfield.
Welcome inside Boiler Center. I'm your host, Craig Combs, and this continues to be your source for anything and everything that is Purdue Boilermaker athletics. Number 2 Alabama came to Mackey Friday night. The Crimson Tide were the highest-ranked non-conference team to play in West Lala since John Wooden, Lou Alcindor, and the number 1 ranked Bruins helped open the doors in 1967. The paint crew was in mid-season form, and the atmosphere was absolutely electric as the old Gold and Black were in control from the start. The Crimson Tide boiled it around and found out. Trey Kaufman-Renn led the way with 26 points and 8 rebounds for the Boilermakers, while Braden Smith scored 17 and had 10 assists. Fletcher Lawyer also had 17, and freshman CJ Cox added 11. The Boilermakers pulled away in the second half when Cox scored 9 points in less than a minute, sparking a 13-0 run for the good guys. After the game, the freshman's clutch performance was what everyone was talking about.
PJ's always told me to look for my shot, and that's something I've been working on throughout the season. So when I was open, I just felt like I needed to let it fly. And so once I hit the first one, I just knew that I would shoot the next one.
Yeah, it's unreal. It's a guy that, I mean, obviously you got a guy like Braden, probably the best point guard in the country. You got to play behind him a little bit, but you find your way when you compete. He competes every day in practice, so that was expected. He's made shots on us all summer, shots you just shake your head at, and you're like, man, how do you make that? But he came in ready to go, not afraid of the moment, and knocked down 4 huge shots, but 3 huge ones that just really sparked us in the second half.
So, like, he can make pull-ups, and when he makes one, he's one of those guys that's instantly hot, or at least he thinks he's instantly hot, and that's all that matters. But like once he makes 2, though, he's going to go back to the well. So, PJ just did a good job of just getting him some open court ball screens.
Purdue volleyball dominated on the Terraflex again this past week with 2 huge victories in conference play. On Thursday, the team swept Rutgers off the floor in a 3-0 sweep in a match that lasted just 76 minutes. Chloe Chicoine led the way with 16 kills on the night, while Raven Colvin had 4 blocks to reach the career milestone of 600 blocks in her time in West Lafayette. The senior stands second in program history in career blocks and block assists. The Boilermakers hit 370 on the match, while doubling up the Scarlet Knights in both aces and blocks. On Sunday evening, the opponent changed, but the result stayed the same. The Boilermakers dominated rival Illinois in another 3-set sweep. This time, it was Eva Hudson leading the offense with 18 kills. Raven Colvin added 8 kills and 6 blocks, while Lizzie Carr had 8 kills and 5 blocks, tying a career high. The Boilermakers are now 22-5 on the season, 13-3 in Big Ten play. The team has won 6 matches in a row and have dropped just 1 set during the winning streak.
It's time for the Pro Boilers feature, where we look at how former Purdue student athletes are doing in their professional sports careers. Pro Boilers is presented by Indiana Kitchen Premium Pork Products. Get to know us at IndianaKitchen.com. Both our Pro Boilers and Indiana Kitchen are boiler-made. The Sanusi Kane played 24 snaps on special teams for the Baltimore Ravens in their loss to Pittsburgh. George Karlaftis had a tackle and a quarterback hit as Kansas City fell to Buffalo in Orchard Park. Tyrone Tracy Jr. didn't play last week. It was the bye week for the Giants, but he did come back to the football complex, and he brought a special present for his running backs coach, Lamar Kennard. He gave him a football that he had brought all the way back from Germany.
Oh, that's awesome.
As a special thanks for what he had done to get him to the NFL. So great to see Tyrone back in town, and great to see him have a great rookie season with the Giants. Talking with Corey Palm, the Director of Broadcast Services here at Purdue, and not only did you write a book about the greatest games, but we've been able to kind of try to put some of those and bring some of those to life. You and I have been working for the last couple of years on podcasts where they're about half an hour long, give or take, 10 or 20 minutes, depending on how Gabby we start to get. The first half of them is basically a recap of the game, and then in the second half we take someone who is a participant in that game and talk to them about what they remember about the game, about the season, and about their career. George Karlaftis was one. We've done one with George. There's one that just posted this week from Nico Kudavides, who has some interesting comments about the 2003 game against the Iowa Hawkeyes.
He did. He was a lot of fun to have on. Good memories from that game, and I like when some of the guys get really personal with their regrets or things that they wish had gone better. And one of the questions we had for Nico was, could you have imagined a better senior season? He said, yeah, if we'd have been playing for a national title.
Right,
well,
right.
of course, yeah. But yeah, it was great having Nico on with his family in the room as a live studio audience as well, so that was cool.
We had the same thing this last week. We taped Chris Daniels when he was in town talking about that great 99 game against Michigan State when he caught 21 passes for 301 yards in one game. That would put him second right now in the current team, I think, in receptions this year. And that shows, again, how the game has changed a little bit. Drew Brees had 300-plus passing yards in the first half of that game against the Spartans, who, by the way, were coached that day by Nick Saban.
They were. Nick Saban 0 for his career against Joe Tiller, by the way.
And a lot of these guys, when they think back, and it really brings out some emotion. Mike Allstott got a little emotional when we asked him what Purdue meant to him. And you know, Mike Allstott still looks like he could run through 3 brick walls and come through the other side without a scratch. But really, Purdue is very meaningful to what has been for him a great career. Not
going to lie, Tim. When that interview was done and everyone had left the room, I whipped up my phone and texted somebody. We just made Mike Allstott cry. And
say that real loud.
He might be watching. That's okay. It's on tape. But no, it really means a lot to him. You know, they look back, and especially with some distance in Allstott's case, and you know, you just can't replace those college years.
All right, let's talk about how can people find those, because we'd like to see more eyeballs on some of these videos that I think people are going to really enjoy.
I think so too. They all kind of they air as live throughout the season, the last 2 years, and you can find them all on YouTube now. If you go to the Purdue Sports YouTube page and search for Ross-Ade's Greatest Games, you'll have about all 20 episodes there.
And in a game that season's been a struggle, let's face it, we win all of them. So we're going to be undefeated on that YouTube channel, so go check those out, and you can get some of the greatest games in Ross-Ade history. All right, we're going to talk to Corey about his third role, and that is working with some of our students here at Purdue to become future broadcasters. That's when we come back. This is Purdue Football Live, presented by Purdue Federal Credit Union on the Purdue Global Sports Network from Learfield.
Clock down to 4. Kaufman-Renn got to let it go. No! Smith had 22 Monday night. Led the Boilers in every category. There's his first scoop.
Oh, that's pretty right there. I mean, he just, with that crossover, leaves Amori in the dust.
What an opportunity for Trey Kaufman-Renn with the ball without Zach Edey. Kick it back inside. Caleb first with his first 2. And 1.
The way he's flying around, this is a terrific pass. That bounce pass, you got Sherrell a little handsy in the Final Four.
Tough fade away.
Man.
And it starts Braden Smith.
A guy that didn't get to work much in the summer because of that abdominal injury, but you could certainly tell he looked back to close to 100%.
Kaufman-Renn. Exclamation point. Smith, Lawyer, this will count. Got it.
Purdue has dialed up a play into the half and gotten a good look. Lawyer with the shot fake. Decent contest from Diabate. Grant Nelson straight up.
Lawyer. Smith. Lawyer. 3 more. Lawyer. Now he comes back with the Euro.
All right, he got back up there. Had no idea where Darion Reed was.
Looking for buckets on back-to-back possessions. Kaufman-Renn to Smith.
Smith just rubbed LeBaron Philon right off of Trey Kaufman-Renn. Roll. He's good with that little floater. And then you got Braden Smith. It's ball screen action, come back, that handoff, and then he...
Welcome back to Purdue Football Live. We're live at Walk-Ons in the Purdue Memorial Union, where there's validated parking and kids eat for free on Tuesdays. We will have a show next week before the Bucket game, but it will not be from here in Walk-Ons, because Walk-Ons will be closed next Wednesday night because we're getting ready for the Thanksgiving holiday and all the students are going to be gone. So no show here next week, but we will be taping one, and that will play on all of these same radio stations at 6:05 on Wednesday night. So that'll be next week before the Old Oak and Bucky game. We're talking with Corey Palm, who is the Director of Broadcast Services, and part of your responsibility is to work with the students who produce and broadcast the BTN Plus games. What has that experience been like?
It's been fantastic. It is very, very rewarding getting to work with future broadcasters and in some cases current broadcasters. A lot of our production students will work on truck shows when they're here in a freelance capacity, and then come work for us when it's our turn to stream. We've got about 40 to 50 students every semester, and it's been really, really fun to watch the program grow and to watch the students grow as well.
And it is fun to really, you mentioned seeing the students grow, and that Purdue's not the only university that's doing this. Others are following suit and trying to really get the next generation of broadcasters. And I think the guy that's doing our game on Friday night on television, Connor Onion.
Yep.
I was on a TV show that he did when he was at Ball State a few years ago, trying to become an aspiring broadcaster. So it's been fun to watch his career grow, and now he's on national TV just about every week.
Definitely, Connor's a super talented young man, and he's also been very gracious with his time. We've had a couple of our current student broadcasters, student announcers have approached him when they've worked near him for volleyball games here. He's here for Big Ten Network a lot for volleyball, and he's very generous with his time and talk through their career and here's some pitfalls and things you might watch out for. But yeah.
And there are really two crops of people you're looking at. You're looking, certainly there are people that want to be on camera and want to be in front of a microphone, but there are people who want to be involved in this who don't want to go anywhere near a microphone, and you have a place for those too.
We do actually, and the bulk of broadcasting is behind the camera. Great students like Gavin Murray, who's here helping produce our weekly coaches streams. He's one of our seniors, and he's been fantastic. They'll produce and direct shows. They'll run replay, create graphics. They come up with storylines. They run the whole thing here, and they get credit through the film studies program here. So it's really cool.
So if you have potential students out there who are looking maybe to come to Purdue and they want to get involved, how do they do that?
Absolutely, come and enroll at Purdue. Look for the film studies major. It's over in the School of Art and Design now, but. Our Big Ten Network classes, we have multiple classes that are part of the curriculum. That you don't have to be a film major to take them. Just look for us when you meet with your advisors, and we'll get you going.
And we would also ask for a little grace sometimes, and this, I think Saturday is an example of that, where Purdue and Marshall, the men's basketball game, I believe is a BTN Plus game,
it is.
Correct?
Yep.
Yes, people do have to pay for BTN Plus, but this is an educational experience, and we have to remember that these are not yet fully trained and polished professional broadcasters.
That is very true.
As we've seen tonight, you don't even have to be fully polished to make a lot of mistakes. We all make a lot of mistakes. It's okay.
We do, and I challenge anyone to watch the greatest spectacle in broadcasting is the Super Bowl every year. They make mistakes. It's very similar to the situation. Now we are bringing in a bit of a ringer for this Saturday's game. Rayfeld Davis will be coming in to be color analyst on our Plus broadcast, so gives our students a chance to work with a professional and see how that goes.
We've got a lot of shuffling going on. I'm actually broadcasting the game Saturday for Marshall's radio network because their guy can't make it Saturday. So if you see me wearing a green sweater, I have not changed allegiance, but you do follow the paycheck for at least 2 hours.
Absolutely.
So, I'll be still a Boilermaker at heart. Hey, Corey, great to have you. Thanks for all the work you're doing with the students and also to keep Purdue athletics in the forefront. And let's hope we have a few more games. And we won't have any more at Ross 8 this year, but I'm sure we'll get some more that we can talk about in the future.
Yeah, we'll add to the list. Thanks, Tim.
Right. Kelly Kitchell will join us next. This is Purdue Football Live, presented by Purdue Federal Credit Union on the Purdue Global Sports Network from Learfield.
Again, off the boiler block, set for Colvin. And that one is true. Scarlet Knights get it over. Anderson sets down the line to Lizzie Carr, who's able to put it down. Carr's first kill of the matchup. Strike the team in red, not the team in white. 8-5 now. Lizzie Carr with the hammer. Purdue. And that one.
Myers got the first contact, and Martinez Mundo keeps that alive. The libero for the Illini. And Purdue looking for their 7th win in a row, opening up with a long point. Allie Hornung underneath it. And the second ball goes over, but Hudson inside to block it.
And already we've got it.
So cheating a little bit more inside.
Cheating a little bit more inside. Especially with the lefty, that swing normally goes in.
Oh, goodness! Pogo stick time for Colvin. Like she was on a pogo stick. Back to Myers. Martinez Mundo. And the block ends it. Anderson. It ends with her after all. There's no secret where the ball's going.
No, they know where it's going, and they still can't stop her.
Terry playing net defense there, but that was a rocket from Colvin. Final match of this really tough 5-match set for Illinois. 2-2 coming into this one, including the top 20 win against USC. Moser on the run, setting Hernandez, and Chicoine with another slick dig in the back. Chicoine makes the call on this one. She can dig, she can bump set, and Hudson helps her out. Well, Bohm is shut down. Lourdes Myers has Purdue 3 points away.
Canella again. Off.
Football Live is presented by Purdue Federal Credit Union, the official credit union for Purdue fans. We're joined by Kelly Kitchell, and I know, unaccustomed as you are to public speaking, this may be a little difficult for you, but you know, I feel badly a little bit. All season long I've been bragging about the weather's been great, perfect weather.
Oh.
It's not going to be so perfect Friday night, and I have to say, in the broadcast booth, as the senior member of the broadcast crew, I get the decision of whether we go with the windows closed or the windows open. And when we close them, you know, the microphone cable is about that thick. And, you know, as long as you can get that microphone cable out, we're going to be nice and toasty.
And you're still going to be bundled up there.
That's right, but I can't help you down in the field.
I know. As soon as you said that last week, I said, "Oh, that was just a kiss of death for me on the sideline." But I was just talking. I almost pulled the trigger a week or so ago and about one of those heated vests.
Really?
And I didn't. And then I was like, it's been so nice this fall, you know, and I end up not doing it, and I think I'll be okay. I've weathered some storms before.
What's the worst weather game you either played in or coached in that you can think of?
I can tell you the worst weather game, and my mom will very much vouch for this, was when my senior year at IU, and or my junior year at IU, and we were playing down there, Antoine Randall. It was raining and snowing. Excuse me. It was raining and snowing. It was sleeting, and it was just about as bad as you can get. I mean, and to make matters worse, you know, Randall, he was like walking on water that day. I mean, it didn't affect him at all. Yeah. And then, you know, we got stuck on it was a 4th and goal, and I can still remember I was down there and I was playing against a guy named Kent Rasmussen. Really good football player. The 2 weeks before, his brother played at Michigan State, and I had the best game I ever had against his brother. And I remember before that game, I went up and talked to him. I said, "Hey, I just took care of your brother." I may have said some other words, but I said, "Now it's your turn." And I'll tell you, what I found out was Kent was a heck of a lot better than his brother, and he was pretty good that day. And I still remember that 4th down, and like I said, I came off the ball and everybody's just spinning, and we got stuck right there. And it was my mom. I went and saw my mom in the stands afterwards, and her hair was just completely soaked. She was up there shivering. I'd say, "I'm so sorry you sat through this." She said, "I wouldn't miss it."
Yeah, well, you know, that I remember that game because, as you know, you can talk. Rob Blackman's our producer, and you and Rob can talk to each other during the game. And the same thing, Joe McConnell was calling play-by-play, and I was on the headset with Brett Schetzel, who was our sideline guy. I cannot tell you the language he used that day because the harder it rained, the more I laughed.
Yeah.
And just laughed and laughed and laughed. And it was raining so hard we couldn't see the other side of the stadium.
It was something.
Raining sideways.
It was something.
All right. Well, hopefully it won't be. It's not supposed to rain or snow on Friday night, but it's going to be a little cold and a little windy.
I can handle cold. We'll be all right.
Let's talk about the season, and it has not been a good season.
Nope.
It's 1-9, and you know, we're talking with Noah earlier. You can't sugarcoat the way things have been. The numbers are the numbers. You still have 2 opportunities if you're a Purdue football player to turn things around and at least get something positive out of the season. And you're playing a team on Friday night that's reeling just as much as you are.
Yeah.
Michigan State's lost 6 out of 7, and if they don't win their last 2, they don't go bowling.
Yeah, and I was just, you know, we were just talking out in the crowd here before I came on, and how much different would we feel if we had gotten the Illinois game that went to overtime, if we'd have gotten the Northwestern game that went to overtime, and, you know, we're sitting here with 3 wins and may not feel a lot better, but we'd feel a little bit better, you know, with 2 more opportunities to finish up with 4 or 5 wins. You know, right now it's just it's a situation where it's going to be, if we can take care of business this week's great, but the bucket game's what it's going to come down to, right? And keeping those guys out of the playoffs, and that's going to be the biggest challenge for all of Purdue, the whole team and the staff is getting that going. But yeah, it didn't go the way that we had thought and hoped, especially after that Indiana State game. And I think it's less of right now. It's less about that we've lost so many. It's the way we've lost so many. It's just we when things start snowballing, and we talked about this, we started doing that halftime interview when Coach Walters came in. I didn't have to ever do him with Coach Brom or anyone else, and Coach Walters was like okay with doing a halftime interview. I was like, great, that'll be great. We'll come talking off the field, and some of it have been pretty good, but it seems like this year, so many games, like we're right in the game with 2 minutes to go, and then all hell breaks loose, and we've given up a touchdown, and they have a kickoff that hits the ground, and you're like, oh my goodness, now I got to talk to him coming off the field, and I feel so bad about it every time, and you just don't know what to say.
You don't, and as we were getting ready to go off the field at halftime of the Notre Dame game, and I agree with Noah, I think that really shell-shocked this team. What can you ask after you see a first half where it's 42-0? There's really nothing you can ask.
Nothing, and I don't even know what I asked. I'm sure it's terrible, and he's frustrated, and it's just one of those things that there's nothing you can say at that point, and you just kind of want to move on and let them get into halftime and regroup and see if you can put something together at halftime.
All right, we will regroup during this commercial. We'll be back with more of Kelly Kitchell after this. It's Purdue Football Live, presented by Purdue Federal Credit Union on the Purdue Global Sports Network from Learfield.
Her right hand, she finds a lane that she likes, goes up, lays it off softly up off the glass for the 2 points.
Speaking of laying it off the glass, Lana McCarthy with her second bucket of the night.
And yeah, McCarthy doing a great job getting the leverage down low on Treadwell early, as we see right there.
Collier bringing it up, finding Bass in transition, down low, she lays it up and in. Purdue pushing it, now Bass up to Jones. Jones finds Swanson. Swanson, a three-pointer. That's good. Nothing but net for Sophie Swanson.
And there it is, Sophie Swanson. You were talking about her earlier.
Good poise by McCarthy to not turn it over. She's down low and an and one. We're off the inbounds pass. Good defensive effort down low, and Purdue comes away with it.
Reynolds back-to-back block. There's on that possession, doing a great job now pushing in transition.
Swanson was fouled and gets the friendly roll and one. 11 points.
Swanson just coming up in transition, pull-up mid-range shot.
Now Reynolds bringing it up, trying to find Bass, and she does. Bass, and one! Reagan Bass getting going here in the second quarter.
Purdue's done a great job all night in transition, and this time no different. Bass getting the feed from Reynolds.
Rebound Swanson. More chance points for Purdue. No good, Lombard. And there's just a lid on the basket right now for Purdue, but right on cue, Kendall Pullier. Finally, the drought is over for the Boilermakers.
Yeah, the offensive rebounder does a great job there, and Purrier goes strong up with the body with the right hand off the glass.
It's been tough sledding here in this third quarter. Hope Savory throws it away. Lombard on the other end. Layup is up and good. Swanson on the wing. Back to Jones. She's been terrific in this fourth quarter. McCarthy, and one! Lana McCarthy back to the free throw line. Good entry pass there by Destiny Lombard, and Lana McCarthy does the rest.
The 2024 Purdue football season is presented by Purdue Global. Earn a degree you'll be proud of with Purdue Global, Purdue's online university for working adults and the preferred online university degree provider of the Guild and Team USA Learning Network. Start your comeback today at purdueglobal.edu. You've been a player, you've been a coach. It's hard to build cohesion sometimes. Even at the high school level where you got kids 2-3 years, at the college level you got them 4 and 5 years. How much more difficult does the portal and the era of free agency make this thing?
I think it's immensely difficult because culture is a huge part of college football. I mean, turning culture, creating culture, establishing culture within your program and having an identity is a huge part of college football. And when you have turnover so much, it's really, really difficult, I think. I think you've got to, as you know, Coach Painter says, you got to get old and stay old, right? Yeah, and you got to have guys that are in your program that really understand what you want out of them and what I would, almost you have to have guys that maybe. I don't want to say you don't have to have a ton of guys that may be a little less talented, but understand their role and understand what they're doing. You want the talent plus the ones that can understand everything they're doing, and then you can really win with that kind of formula. But it's really tough when you're trying to bring in, a bunch of guys every year and just trying to make that fit and meld, because you spend so much time getting them to trust each other and getting them to understand what they're supposed to do. So now they're trying to trust their teammates. They're trying to understand the system. They're trying to, they may have new coaches. They may have, other staff, because some of these guys, they've been to 3 or 4 different places. You got a new head coach. You got a new position coach. You got a new offense to learn, defense to learn. It's crazy.
Well, and I asked Noah about that earlier, and one of the things he did mention is that Purdue went a little bit differently in terms of the portal. They took a lot of guys with 2 and 3 years of eligibility rather than 1. You hope that that's something that's going to pay off. Now, again, you got to keep those guys here, and you got to make sure that they get the culture and spread the culture around.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You hope that they can stay, they can be productive, and then you keep them here for 2 or 3 years. The tough part is sometimes you bring them in, they get really good, and then all of a sudden everybody's looking at them, wanting them to move again, and it's just it's a tough road right now. Things are going to change, right? I mean, the house deal's coming up. It's gonna you got rev share, you got everything that's happening. So hopefully that will even out the playing field a little bit for everybody, because right now it's the Wild West, and you just never know. You can kind of just go ask for as much as you want, and maybe you'll get it, and maybe you won't.
You and I, when we're not yakking on the microphones here during football, are working for the university, but you also have a side project. You got a little business over here, and your partner's Drew Brees.
Yeah.
What is it like to be a business partner with Drew Brees?
Yeah, it's great. Drew came to us and said, hey, I want to do something in West Lafayette, and he came with a couple of options, and the Everbowl over here on Vine Street is the one that he presented, and we really liked. My wife's an HTM major, and she's like, I'll run it. And he's like, absolutely, let's do this thing. So Ben Smith, Jason Lorzell, and Drew and myself were all in this together, and it's been great working with him. We did a little, we've done some NIL things. We did it with Cam Heide and Fletcher Lawyer last year, where Drew kind of challenged him to do some things with the bowls. Hey, you got to make a bowl in the time that the fight song or Fletch threw one behind his back and Cam caught it. We had some interesting camera work on some of them, but we had fun with it, and they had fun with it, and so it's been great, having him as a partner and having him as just as a friend all the way through, and we got to get him back to campus, though. We've been working. He's coaching high school football for his son, so we need to get him back to campus.
Pretty competitive guy still.
He's very competitive in everything he does, whether it's owning franchises or playing pickleball or whatever he decides to do. He's very competitive. That's why we all kind of got along so well, because we were all very competitive.
Kitch, I'll see you at the airport tomorrow. Make sure you bring a big coat.
I've got a big coat, and I'll have some hand warmers too. We'll see.
Get that big. You got time. Go out and buy that heated vest.
I don't know if I'll have time to get it. We'll see.
All right. I want to thank our engineer tonight, Wes Scott, our producer, Hunter Stunkel. Video with McCarty Cummins and Gavin Murray. We thank them both for that. Again, we will be on next Wednesday night on all these stations. It's Purdue Football Live. It'll be on at 6:05. We thank Noah Joseph, Corey Palm, and Kelly Kitchell for being here. Boilermakers and Spartans, Friday night at 7 for the pregame. See you then. Good night, everybody.